Recently, in Marvel's television offerings, they've stuck close to the movies, and this ultimately isn't the best. There have been all the MCU shows, but also the cartoons have recently been an Avengers cartoon heavily inspired by the movies, a Guardians of the Galaxy show that seemingly started because of the movies, and two Spider Man shows. One which people didn't like it because it handled comic characters poorly and tried to force every character to be some prodigy genius. The other is made for very young children. So today I pitch Marvel Team Up. The show would star Spider Man, but every episode show a different corner of the Marvel Universe. Episode 1 would focus on grounding Spider Man by showing him working at the Daily Bugle and having his first fight with the Green Goblin. They would mention Uncle Ben and his death, but not be shown again, since I'm pretty sure everyone knows the great power, great responsibility line. Episode 2 would start with Wolverine tracking down Mystique, who breaks into a theater to hide, only to find Mysterio. Mysterio and Mystique work together to fight Wolverine and fight Spider-Man. The two heroes don't really get along since Peter thinks Logan is a brute, but also has some respect for his tactical mind. Episode 3 would be the Iron Spider suit. Tony Stark invites Spider-Man to Stark Tower on live TV through the Daily Bugle, and once Peter arrives, Stark gives Peter his new suit. The villain in this episode would be the Living Brain, who hacks into every AI in Stark Tower, causing Spider-Man to learn that relying too much on his technological suit is a bad thing. Episode 4 would introduce Wilson Fisk and Daredevil. Spider-Man fights Kingpin, but Daredevil intervenes to prevent Spider-Man from getting into legal trouble from Kingpin's lawyer. This episode would result in Peter beating Kingpin entirely legally by writing an exposé for the Bugle. Episode 5 would have Reed Richards sponsor a space program where John Jameson will go to space. Peter is sent to the Return to take pictures, but John was mutated in space. Man-Wolf attacks Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. Episode 6 would open with Black Cat robbing a bank and Spider-Man stopping her, but revealing that she still means well. The actual episode would have Mr. Sinister recruit Miles Warren. A terrible lab accident turns Miles into the Jackal, who creates a clone of Spider-Man. Now Peter has to deal with an imposter of him, as well as the two villains. Episode 7 would soon show off the whole team of the Avengers. I don't just mean the movie Avengers, but characters like Wonder Man, Nova, Squirrel Girl, and others. Spider-Man looks up to that team, but then the Sinister Six attacks. Goblin, Jackal, Mysterio, Kraven, Electro, and Doc Ock fight Spider-Man, and he realizes, at his lowest point in the episode, that he already has a team, that being his friends and family. Episode 8 will show the Fantastic Four trying to stop Doctor Doom from using a bioweapon powered by Terrigen across the globe. Spider-Man decides to assist and finds out Rhino is one of Doom's bodyguards. Episode 9 will show Peter Parker being sent by S.H.I.E.L.D. to deliver some of his webbing to the International Space Station to fix a small hole in a storage compartment slowly draining air from the craft. As Peter does this, he is confronted with some brood. Peter then finds himself getting help from the Guardians of the Galaxy to fight off the aliens. Episode 10 through 13 is the Season 1 finale, and shows a bunch of heroes and villains from around the universe being put on Battleworld by the Beyonder. Peter, of course, has the symbiote suit here, but it doesn't affect his mood at all, just yet. He just has the power to fight the Sinister Six and Doom alone, all at once. The other heroes really like this suit, but they have more pressing matters. Now, these episodes would mostly just be cameos from random characters and a giant set of fight scenes. However, Doom would still be the main villain, with, finally, in the end, Spider-Man beats him. During this event, however, Norman would become sick due to radiation from the Beyonder. Now, Season 2 opens with Spider-Man still in his symbiote against Sentinel robots. Apparently, Norman Osborn has been partnering with Trask to make new Goblin Sentinels. Harry takes control of one of them and tries to kill Spider-Man and the X-Men, since he blames all heroes for Norman's illness. Season 2, Episode 2 would be Blade and Spider-Man tracking down a creature, but eventually finding that he was a humble scientist, Dr. Michael Morbius. Norman had hired him to cure him, but it failed. Season 2, Episode 3 would have Spider-Man, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist teaming against Kingpin, who is trying to buy up a bunch of low-income housing to build casinos. Then, after finding out that Aunt May's apartment is in the crossfires, he gets angry, showing us the beginning of the symbiote's control. Season 2, Episode 4 shows the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man working together to stop Kraven, who has been hunting down quote-unquote freaks, including Morbius, Black Cat, Jackal, Rhino, Man-Wolf, and finally, The Thing. In this episode, we would learn the symbiote's weakness to fire. Season 2, Episode 5 shows Harry's struggles in prison as a new goblin, now wearing orange and blue, attacks a bunch of seemingly random offices. This episode, as well as the next, will be a mystery surrounding the Hobgoblin. In this episode, Spider-Man teams up with the Avengers. Season 2, Episode 6 finishes the Hobgoblin mini-arc. In this episode, Peter and the X-Men fight Hobgoblin, who is actually one of Peter's classmates, Ned. He was trying to get revenge on Kingpin for destroying his house, forcing him to live in an alley. Apparently, all those offices were places Kingpin was laundering money, though. Wolverine tries to kill Ned for killing so many innocents, and Peter, in a combination of compassion for Ned and anger at Kingpin and Logan, punches him in the face. The X-Men are astonished by this, but Logan smiles as Peter angrily swings away. Season 2, Episode 7 will show Spider-Man working with John DeWolf and Jeff Davis to track down two villains, the Prowler and the Sin Eater. Jeff's family would be shown a bit, as well as Jean's lack of one. Miles, of course, makes his first appearance here, but not powered yet. We will also show off Eddie Brock trying to write an expose on the Sin Eater. Season 2, Episode 8 will show off the Fantastic Four and the Inhumans. The Terrigen that Doom used back in Season 1, Episode 8 apparently got in the atmosphere, infecting more people. At night, Spidey meets Black Bolt and Medusa, and they fight off Maximus and Electro. Later, as Spider-Man says he is displaying symptoms of being more tired and aggressive, Reed does tests on him to check on the Terrigen, and discovers, actually, that the suit is alive, and may have adverse effects on Peter. He shrugs it off and decides to keep wearing it. Season 2, Episode 9 will show Peter working with Black Cat to track down Doc Ock. Peter then goes to sleep as black tendrils engulf him, and his suit covers his body. He fights off Dr. Octopus, but nearly hangs him by his robotic arms. He, of course, doesn't kill Otto, but it's still supposed to be a shocking moment. The next morning, Peter laments about being tired. Aunt May suggests he should go back to sleep. Peter angrily disregards this and leaves to fight Otto with Felicia again, who now she seems genuinely scared of him. Season 2, Episode 10 shows Peter having a complex inner battle with the symbiote, showing how he can't handle it, and he drops it off with the Fantastic Four. Simple as that. No, church bell scene or whatever, no. Once he realizes what's going on, he just drops it off. Then he and John DeWolf continue tracking down Sin Eater, who gets really powerful from Spider-Man's rage, and ends up killing John DeWolf. Peter then rationalizes needing the suit to Reed, and ultimately, Peter breaks Sin Eater's spine. Season 2, Episode 11 has Eddie Brock really hating Spider-Man. All of his friends left him after his claims were found false, and his expose was retracted. Plus, his fiancée broke off ties with him. So he goes to a church to pray to God for forgiveness, since he plans to try to kill Spider-Man. The end of the episode shows Peter and Eddie bump into each other at the Bugle as Eddie's getting fired. Peter doesn't notice, but Eddie gets a piece of the symbiote. Season 2, Episode 12 shows Eddie and the part of the symbiote forming one hand with a claw on it. The symbiote senses Brock has more rage and decides it wants to permanently bond to Eddie. Then Peter and Eddie happen to bump into each other again. This time the symbiote fully attaches to Brock. The symbiote is angry at Peter because he originally threw it away and only came back when he needed it. And Eddie hates Spider-Man for foiling his life. So, They decide that they are together a poison to the spider, or better called Venom. Venom and Peter fight, and Venom is taken to Ravencroft by Captain Stacy and Officer Davis. Season 2's finale, episode 13, will show Venom having a spawn, which attaches to Cletus Cassidy, as Venom escapes to fight Spider-Man. Also, Miles and Vision's Academy goes to an Oscorp field trip, where they find that a certain study of spiders is still ongoing, and Miles gets bit by one of them on accident. He wouldn't become Spider-Man in this hypothetical until the next season, which would be saved for a future video. Then, Peter and Brock fight, but find that Cletus has demanded that all heroes come to fight him, so that he can kill the whole city. Eddie still has a strong moral compass, and decides to temporarily put aside their differences. Venom and Spider-Man then fight Carnage with some help from a bunch of other heroes and villains shown throughout the series. At the end, Anne tells Eddie that if they kill Spider-Man, the amount of innocent people that would die would exponentially increase. So Eddie decides to permanently give up the grudge.